All right, so another day in Atlanta. We're so excited to be at Skills USA National Skills Championship and the Leadership Conference. And so today we're going to be speaking to Ty Pennington. I know all of you right away, Trading Spaces, Extreme Home Makeover, that's what came to your mind. Wonderful, but we're going to be talking about skilled trades, skilled career opportunities, and we want to hear from Ty what he thinks. So we're going to jump in. Welcome.
Awesome. It's so good to be here.
I'm so glad. So, first time?
This is my first time at Skills Jams. I mean, it's hard to believe.
It is hard to believe.
But now that the sheer magnitude of what's going on in this entire, could be also the largest convention center in the world, it seems, because it took us 6 hours just to walk over here. But there's so much action happening in every single hall, and then you see these guys just building, and I love the signs that do not talk to the competitors. And I'm like, yes, let them stay focused. Very important.
That's safety. It's about safety.
Yeah.
How much do you wish that you would have known about this when you were a kid?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, I'm so competitive. I mean, anybody who has a sibling is competitive. But yes, I'm just building things and having a competition to do that in a time. I'm just so here. I'm already thinking of creative shows we can make out of this. So this is everything I'm about.
And it's so great because, unfortunately, this is like a best-kept secret. You're not the only person that tells us, I didn't even know there was a thing about Skills USA and I could go compete.
I mean, who wants to go to a furry convention when you could be here? You know what I mean?
That's awesome. So listen, I know you call yourself a jack of all trades. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got into carpentry.
Well, so here's the beauty of, I tried to explain this to some contestants yesterday. I think one of the best things about being in the skilled trades is you don't learn just one trade because you're constantly working with so many different trades.
Right.
You learn by not only osmosis, but seeing what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And then you're asking them, wait, so we can't do this until you run that? And so why is that? So just in that process, you learn that, okay, we can't even do this until that gets done. So you may be doing framing, but you're learning from the plumbers, you're learning from the foundation concrete being poured, you're learning all these things so that one day you don't just have one skill, you have the skills to build an entire house. And over a span of lots of time, I learned all these different trades, not only framing, but then, finishing, painting.
Yeah.
All of these things, you really learn so many different skills. And I even did tile for a while. Let me tell you, that's something I probably would not suggest. But yes, that's the beauty of being a skilled tradesman. You don't learn one, you literally learn all. And because you're working with so many different trades.
Yeah, and people outside of it, they look at a building they have no idea the number of people, the amount of skills it takes to build the World Congress Center in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, this is serious.
Yeah, and a lot of concrete.
And a lot of concrete.
Yeah.
A lot of concrete. During college, you worked in construction?
So yeah, that's the interesting thing. So it's a different world than it is now, or it was then. But I grew up with parents who were you can only stay in the house if you had a job. So I was taught at an early age, survive on your own. We will not be there for you.
Right.
So, but I also knew that the only way I could go to art school is if they had a night class, because the idea of me not having a job wasn't an option. So I went to night school, which was really actually much more brilliant than I thought, because here's the thing about degrees, in my opinion, especially in the art field. I don't think it really matters about if you have a degree. What it matters is your experience. And so if I could get out of college in 1 year and go knock on the doors and start interviewing, so your talent's gonna get you in the door 50%, but your personality and your drive is going to get you the job, and you're going to keep it. So they could tell that I would work. You got to be willing to work for free, and to if you want to work for the people that are the best in the industry, you have to show that.
Right.
And it's the same with people who volunteered on Extreme. At some point they'd volunteer for 2 shows, and then I'd see them on their 7th show, and I'm like, is this person being paid yet? And so I would literally be you're on salary.
Right.
So But it's showing people that you care enough to like get the job done, and that's who's going to hire you too. You got to be passionate about what you do.
Absolutely. And you know what's really interesting? So we've been interviewing some contractors here, and they said exactly that.
Yeah.
They said, listen, you don't have to know everything. You're not going to know it coming into construction. You have to show up, be willing to work, like what you're doing, just come and show us you have the interest. So you're actually saying exactly what they're telling us.
Yeah, and the other thing is, no matter how much experience you have, realize that you can always learn from somebody, because there's always going to be somebody who's telling you you're doing it wrong. There's always that person. But just be patient, breathe, and know that you will learn something from them. But more importantly, they may learn something from you. It's called patience.
Oh, yeah. That's very true. That's a really good point. It's really interesting, I think, too. So you did that, and you did graphic design, am I right? You went into graphic design?
Yeah, I won a couple of awards in it. And here's the thing. I went to school to become a graphic designer, because at that point in the era of life, graphic design was the new, new interior design. Everybody wanted to be one. But I was really good at it. I've always had a positive, negative eye. I can look at something and see the graphic sort of elements in it. I just have that gift where even in a photo, you put the things where your eye, let's just say, it's called a graphic eye, and I guess I have one. I started drawing on the family drywall, at an early age. So my mom was like, oh, isn't that wonderful that he's creative? We get to redo the kitchen and the living room. But so I just always had the gift of just using my eye and my creativity in drawing. But it was also the only time I would be quiet and stay still. So it was important.
So that was a good thing.
But yeah, I ended up being pretty good. I won some awards, but then I realized I was going to be sitting behind a desk from 9 to 5. And I was like, well, I don't know if that's what I want to do. I ended up putting my derriere on the Xerox machine, and I broke the glass. It's one of those
I'm not even going to go down
one of these like after work moments where I was trying to press somebody, and they're like, so somebody broke the copy machine. I'm like, guilty. So then I went back to freelance. Yeah.
I love it. But then you actually took your skills from carpentry and all the other things that you had done, combined it with graphic design, and started building sets. Am I right? Yeah,
I worked in the film industry. I was on a movie called Leaving Las Vegas, and in the art department, and who knew it went on to win an Oscar, which was crazy. So yeah, and then I realized, look, it was around that time that I started sort of realizing that all the different skills I had, not only that, I at a very young age, I was asked to go to Japan, and I didn't even know why, and it was to take pictures, and I laughed. I'm like, let's do it. Because the guy said I'd make some money. I didn't really make any money, but I gained some experience. I also learned from these incredible photographers, how to shoot pictures. So here I am, learning all these different skills and trades, and just wondering, what is my future going to be? I'm not sure. But then all of a sudden, I had an audition where they needed somebody who was comfortable in front of the camera, knew how to build things, and was, in my opinion, creative. I don't think they realized just how much I was waiting to show just how creative I was. And I was on a TV show that just went from 0 to 16,000 overnight. And I was like, wow, so this is what, TV can do. Next thing you know, I'm walking around with a trash can on my head just to get off the site without being mobbed by, which I love, it was a little bit of Beatlemania for a moment. So yeah, it was one of those things that, and I just given up on going on auditions too, by the way, because I was like, you just don't make enough money making, $45 for the day. Yeah, I was like $100 bucks. I'm like, oh really?
That's not good.
I'm going to skip that. So, but that's why they called me, because they knew I'd given up on going on auditions, and I'd gone back to construction and building things, and I was doing high-end furniture, and that's when I auditioned for this show called Trading Spaces, and then my life changed. So it was wild. That's why I always say, go through every single door that shows itself.
Yeah.
You may hit a dead end, but it also may turn into another door that leads down a path that may not be the one that you thought was. Graphic design, I thought was the only path I was going to be on. I never knew that if I went through all these doors, went through Japan, went to New York, went to all this, next thing I know, I'm on a TV show where I'm building things, but it's a completely different path than the one that I thought I would be on, but I'm still using my graphic eye. It just happens to be a room composition instead of an advertisement composition.
Yeah, and I love go through every door, because I think that's the thing, is sometimes we miss opportunity because we're so focused on, this is what I'm supposed to do, and you don't even know, but you can do this, and you can do it. And I think skilled careers, when you go into the skilled trades, graphic design is a skill. It's a skill that you learn that's very useful, just like construction. I mean, just like carpentry.
It is, but here's the truth. The reason why carpentry sort of kept me afloat is because even if you're dabbling in graphic design, even if you're dabbling in photography or even acting, you can always show up at a job site, throw in your tool belt, and they'll be like, sure, man, like, just grab that, we could use you.
Yeah,
and that's
true.
That's the truth. And so that's what I always did, because that's the job. My first job was landscaping in the Atlanta August heat. So learning like tree installation and sweating and making $3.25 an hour, that's how you learn that anything can get better. But then I went from there to framing and construction to roofing and then doing interiors. But what it is when you know you can always throw in a tool belt, go to any job site that looks like they could use help, that's when you know you've always got a job. That's why a skilled trade is so important, because you're not ever going to be unemployed if you've got a trade.
I totally agree. I mean, people say that all the time, whether it's my husband, our CEO's a carpenter, my husband's a welder, and that's what their whole life, they've said, you know what? I know every day I wake up, I got a job.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about that. And that's what's so beautiful. But people don't know that. We have got to do something to help parents, young people understand, like, get a skilled trade. If you want to do something else, that's fine, but get a skilled trade, right?
Well, and I'll just speak for those young people who think that there's a future in being an influencer. Because, look, even in my career, it switched a little bit, because now they want to see how many people are following you or how popular you are with, random people. But what you don't realize is, yes, you may be a couple of sponsors are going to pay you, but you're going to spend your whole life creating content, and probably about 6 a day, which means you're also going to need a boyfriend or a girlfriend to film you doing like random crap all day.
Yeah,
so you are working, you're just not doing the building that you would be, and it's basically just a narcissistic existence. If you're into that and it seems to satisfy you, great, but I think having a skill and a trade where at the end of the day you can be like, wow, that project is looking so good. I can't wait till the arched windows go in. And then and the other great thing about skilled trade is you get gratification, because the job only lasts so long. You get to finish and then move on to a new project, which anybody with ADHD, that's the key. You need to get a start and you have to finish and then move on to the next, because that's why 9-to-5s don't work for some of us, because it's the same day over and over and over, and that's really, it just doesn't spark the sort of drive we need.
No, I think it is activity, and I think that's the beauty of construction. Like, it changes, you get to do something different every day, you get to meet different people, but I loved what you said about you get to see what you did. Like, you feel proud. Like, you have that accomplished, you're like, I did that. I built that. And then you get to say that for as long as that building's standing.
And not only that, but you get to work with other people. Like, so you may be building the base and the frame, but then when the slab or the countertop comes on, somebody just cut this beautiful stone. Ooh, then it's paired with your work, and you're like, oh my God, that's the icing on the cake, literally. And you're like, okay, now it looks really good. And that's also when you learn that working with other people is beneficial to everything, because you're only as good as your last work, but you're even better if you've been working with somebody who is really good at what they do as well. Absolutely.
No, that's so true. Did you have mentors along the way?
I grew up with jazz musicians. So, that was unexpected. Yeah. But they were but then I met my real dad down in Florida, and guess what? First thing he was building a 2-story doghouse. And I'm like, wow, so this is where it came from. And I look at his hands, and he's been a carpenter, and his brother was a carpenter the whole 9 yards. So here's a funny story. And he goes, what do you want to do when you're down here? I was like, I don't know, let's build a boat. So we built a boat, polyurethaned it, put a rudder in, took it out for its first virgin sail on a lake in Ocoee, Florida, and it sank. And I was like, this is perfect. Let's back to square one. That's why boats are named the same name, but it's the second. So anyway,
that's okay.
But I knew then that sometimes you just meet somebody and you look at their hands and you're like, yep, that's somebody who works with their hands, and that's exactly what my real dad was like too. So you may not learn from them, but sometimes you get that instinct from them too. Yeah, absolutely. No, I think people play an important role, and I think as you grew in your craft, I'm sure there's a lot of people that you helped that you probably don't even know that you helped along the way. I just know a lot of people named their kids Ty after me, and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I just hope that they, well, a lot of people know that I've struggled with ADHD too, so I have a lot of connection with kids that have sort of focus challenges. And I'm one of those people that are like, wow, well, if he can do it, and maybe our kid can do it. And the truth of it is that can be a struggle, but there's also a bit of creativity that comes with that. So I try and look at it as a blessing, not a curse. But like I said, working with your hands is one of the best ways to deal with that, because you stay focused. Somebody trying to fill out a paperwork or on a computer screen, they don't have the same focus that you do when you're building something with your hands. It's something you just really love doing, especially at the end of the day, you could say, check this out, doesn't this look good? So yeah, I'm a big supporter of anybody learning a skill, anybody learning a trade, because not only does it's sort of self-gratifying, but in the end, it's also a long-lasting job that you can keep learning, and you'll pass it on to somebody else. I mean, I'm at the age now where I'm mentoring so many, younger people about this is the journey. You should absolutely know this skill, even if you dabble in something else. This is what should be your rock. Should guide you. On the weekends, do whatever you want. That's a different outlet. But have something you can fall back on.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And I love the fact that you're talking about ADHD. I was a high school English teacher for 13 years.
Oh, boy.
And so I saw that a lot. And I think we have to get a place in education where we understand there are individuals in your classroom that do not all learn the same way.
Yeah.
And I think career tech education is the answer to that.
Oh God, when I was in high school and we would have to get on a bus and go over to this other school that had a photo lab and all of this. And this is back when you actually made photographs, right? Instead of, what it is now. And I was like, oh yes, please. And you go over there, and that was where the wood shop was and the metal shop. And I was like, oh my God, this is where I'm supposed to be, and it's funny because safety glasses, my parents didn't even let me wear a helmet when I should have been when I'm doing, motocross.
We didn't wear seatbelts.
We didn't
wear seatbelts.
But it's so important to have those outlets. And that's why, I think the more we can teach kids, especially in high school, that a summer job is your time to really start to learn that trade, so that you don't there's not so much stress deciding what you're going to do with your life when you get to that year. What are you going to do in college?
Right.
What are you focusing on? That is such a lot of pressure to put on a kid. It's just I don't even know if I want to go.
Yeah.
So when you have another skill you've been doing, you can fall back on, why not just work with, Uncle Joey and see how the flooring industry's going,
No, I totally believe it. And I think you made a good point earlier too about the fact that there's so many kids that are missing out on things because they're so into their computer screen.
Yeah.
This is what they're spending, or on their phone all day long.
All day.
And so we've heard so many instances after COVID that it's even worse, parents just saying, trying to get my kid off the phone.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So they need to see this, and they need to do career tech education.
It's true. I mean, honestly, I think at some point I'm going to end up being you know what Outward Bound is because you're a teacher. But the idea that you take students out in the woods without phones and make them sort of build their own survival, whether it's a hut, a tent. Of course you would have rations waiting in a truck somewhere, but the idea of forcing them to sort of have to learn to exist and sort of build and be creative and find a way. I think there's something really fun about that. That's the kind of camp I would want to go to. Right.
And I think kids do. I think this is such a habit that they don't even know that when they put it down, there's life after the phone, right?
And not only that, a phone is a cheat. It's somebody who wants you to think they're living a better life than you, and the truth is, they're really not. It's just a better filter.
It's a better filter. That's the truth, too. I'm telling you, there's some people that I've met, I'm like, I'm not sure is this the same person kind of thing? Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
I'm 10 years away from a really good filter.
Yeah. We need to start working on that. We're going to talk, we need to start working on that. So you said it was your first time at Skills USA. So far,
oh my God,
vibe you're getting?
First of all, I had no idea you can get culinary, you can get grooming, which I mean haircuts, nails, but then you also have motorcycle engines, airplane engines, NASCAR Grand Prix engines, it's just incredible, not to mention all the construction and the plumbing and the electrical. It's mind-boggling that all of this is under one roof. So, it just makes you realize, it's not just carpentry. It's not just plumbing. There is a lot of skill that goes into learning so many different trades. And working on an engine like a straight six, yes, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s was doable, but now working on an engine, like, you've got to be technically savvy. So the things that are being taught are absolutely the jobs that we're all going to need. It's not like any of us can live without a car.
No.
And I wish I had a relative who knew how to fix one. I wouldn't have to spend so much money. I'd be like, dude, can you fix, I think we've got a carburetor situation. But anyway, I think looking at this place and seeing how much opportunity there is, not only that, what is there, 15,000 different competitors here?
Well, there's 15,000 people, 6,500 are competing. Yeah, are actually doing it themselves, like competing.
Yeah. Well, I'm just excited because, they say the next generation is the tool belt generation, and I really wasn't sure if that was true, but when I look at what I see here, I think they're right. I hope that's true, because we just need skills tradesmen. We need people, men and women, who really know a skill in a trade that can get the job done and feel really good about doing it. Because I tell anybody who owns a house, when you hire somebody, don't just walk in the other room. Watch what they do, not only to make sure they're doing it right, but to learn from them so you don't have to pay them to do it again.
Yeah.
So, we should constantly be learning all kinds of skills. Our homes are our biggest investment we ever make.
Right.
So the other investment we should make is learning how to keep it not only, up to date, but working in every single area. HVAC, electrical, plumbing, roofing, foundation, all of that.
Yes.
You've got to hire someone that's got the skills. Why can't it be you?
And what's so crazy, I heard this gentleman one time, I believe it was from Sunk Construction, and he did this great presentation, and he said, listen, he goes, when you wake up in the morning and you turn on that light switch, there was somebody that was smart enough to be able to hook up that electricity, and it goes to a power plant through these lines over top or below the ground, and you turn on that water, it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
You walk out the door and you get in a car. He just did this great explanation of all the things that we just take for granted every day. Somebody had to have a skill to do that.
Yeah, we used to drink from wells.
Out of the hose.
Yeah, and you think the water tastes a little bit like fluoride now. You wish you had fluoride in the well water. That's all I can tell you. But sometimes it was nice, clean well water, too.
It was.
But in Florida, let's just say it might have been a little sulfury.
Yeah, so, depending where you are, for sure.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. We take for granted the power we have. And that's why solar is also something that people should be focusing on, because we're all going to be flipping over to that hopefully soon. Batteries in our home, but they're still going to all be run on wiring. That's not going to go away.
Yeah.
So, man, it's hard to believe, too. It's like electricity is sort of like the broom. It hasn't changed in hundreds of years. Really. Could the broom be
the light bulb?
I think the broom could be the oldest invention to man, because it's really just a bunch of palm fronds that have been stuck together to sweep out the dirt.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's but you're right. Power, water, all those things we take for granted, the luxuries in life, somebody has to provide those pipes, those wires, to make sure that you can have that.
Yes, for sure. An interesting thing, I've heard a lot of talk about AI, and I've also heard a lot of talk at the conferences I go to. They're but they're not taking away the skilled trades. AI may be able to do a lot of stuff from office jobs, and it may reduce the number of people needed in an office, but you still have to have someone build the office.
Yeah, exactly. Hence why it was smart for me to give up graphic design. AI can create your logo in seconds now. That job is completely obsolete. But somebody's going to have to build the storefront if you'd like any customers to walk in and buy your product.
Yeah, for sure. So yesterday I got to talk to Mark Hedstrom, and he was telling me about the Skilled Careers Coalition, about Skills Jam. How did you get involved? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting enough. I work with a lady who is a sort of a PR chick, and we were showing off the connection between a coral reef and sort of vacationing with your family, and how you could sort of do, while you're vacationing, you could also help out nature and, try and rebuild the reef and rejuvenate it, because there's a couple of people I know down in the Keys that are also trying to really get life going back on the reef, because as you guys know,
yes,
who knows what's going to happen, in the future there. But she said, hey, I got a call, hey, have you ever heard of Skills Jams? I was like, I think I have, because a buddy of mine I went to high school with him and I have been fabricating things for years, and working with a CNC router. People don't even realize, but on Extreme, I designed and built all the furniture that went into all the rooms I did. But
I didn't know that.
It was a secret project, so you never saw the behind the door.
Why didn't they do a show on that?
I mean, it's crazy because, I was all about proving to the world how talented I was, but it doesn't matter because really it was a team of people doing it because I was doing another house at the same time too. So I was like, this is what I want it to look like. Let's cut it out in CNC. We piece it together. But we made some beautiful furniture. Anyway, so he's been a techie in the sense that he's got into animation and all this other stuff. So he even sent his kid to a tech school because he knew that is the future.
Yep.
But he had heard about Skills Jams. He's like, dude, that's one of the biggest things that's happening, at the convention center all year long. Let me know if you're really doing this again. I want to get involved. But I just got introduced to it, and I can't believe I just found out about it. I've been busy with a bunch of other different things.
Some other things,
But now I'm like, wait a minute. So one, you've got all this young creative talent that's coming into one house that are proving to be the best not only in this country, but will go on to compete like the best in the world. So it's everything I'm about. It's about not only skills and trades, but it's also competition to show who's gaining the experience and the knowledge to represent. It's almost the Olympics, if you will.
Oh, absolutely.
Of building. And who wouldn't want to be involved in that? So, I think I'm just excited that I finally met up with these guys because it's everything I'm about. It's energetic, it's fast-paced, and it's competitive, and it's about building. It's literally, it hits all my boxes. Yeah.
I love it. So what are you going to be, what should we expect here? Are you going to be talking to some of the young people that are competing? What are you going to be doing?
Yeah, I'm going to be talking to a lot of the competitors, mentoring them a little bit, but also sort of showcasing the lay of the land. And then I'm also hoping to learn, and finding, the top tier, who's gonna, it's like a horse race. Who are you looking to see? Who's gonna show, who's gonna look to win? But I'm loving to sort of get to see the shining stars that are coming out of this because, let's face it, at some point I'm going to put together another dream team, and maybe that dream team is right here.
Oh my God, I love that. And they are. Let me tell you something, the carpentry competition that we sponsored, those kids, we have contractors that are here because they want to hire, they want the best of the best. Yeah. So they all come because they want the resume, because they want to make the phone call to say first, second, third place at least. They said, I talked to them, they're like, anybody that got here, anybody that won their state and showed up here, we want them.
If I knew about this when I was young, I would have been all about it. Are you kidding me? So same with, if I had a construction company, a massive one, this is what you want. You want to catch them when they're young, when they're, full of knowledge, and they're full of passion and gusto.
Yeah.
Because that's it. That's who you want. Because you want to be able to knock out, in a day, what most people take 3 days to do.
Yes.
And sometimes you just need the right person to lead that operation to get it done.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what do we do to get more people to know about this, to know about skilled careers? What do we do?
I think that's also why I'm here, is because now that I know, I'm going to go out and really spread the word. Because the world needs to know, this is the next generation of carpenters, plumbers, skilled trades. This is it. So why not have everybody come and meet the next stars that are going to be making, a name for themselves, and also just see how good their work is. And the best way to do that is put them in a competition.
Yeah. Because
you always bring your best work when you're in a competitive situation because you want to shine.
Absolutely. And everyone doesn't get a trophy here.
Right.
They've already won by just winning in their state.
Yeah.
But this really is a serious competition. I don't think people know that. Now that you're here and you're going to walk around, you're going to see some serious, they get nervous. They know that this is important to them. They're representing their state. It's like you said, it's like the Olympics.
Yeah.
This is the skilled trade Olympics here.
I love it. And this time they're going to weld the torch themselves.
That's
you know what I mean? It's going to be amazing.
Our own torch. That's right. That's right.
But I do think that Skills Jams is finally on the map. I think people are finally hearing about it.
Good.
And I think it's literally starting to blow up. And I think they're building a path to a better future for everybody. So I think we all need to sort of realize this is happening and keep a keen eye on some of these shining stars because they're going to rise and they're going to make a name for themselves, and we're all going to want to live in a home that they've built.
Yeah, a quality home. And I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad, like what you said, like you're willing to go and spread the word, and you may even start building your own dream team, because these kids are in it to what, like, they are so passionate. I don't know if you got to go to the event last night and hear these kids and the appreciation, and they present themselves so well. Like they get, in Skills USA, they get the technical skills, but they get the soft skills too, or what I like to say, the power skills. I know how to communicate with you. I know how to shake your hand, look you in the eye. I know how to get up in the morning to an alarm clock. Those are all important skills too. Especially
at that age. Nobody really has those skills at the young age. Everyone's trying to figure out, like, believing in themselves. And I think that's the other thing I want to lead with, is the beauty of this skills jams is that, look, sometimes your family like knows you as, the son that may have made some mistakes, or like look out the window when you're mowing the lawn like, oh my God, is he gonna cut his foot off? Even though they know that you're talented, they may be like, oh, I just don't know about this kid. However, in this environment, you get to prove to the world who you really are, not to who your family are, but like, and you get the respect of people in your industry.
You do.
And so that changes, because then you see how people believe in you that may not just be your family, but you see strangers believe in you in a way that you didn't realize. And seeing that belief in you changes the way you feel about yourself. And that's how you become a star that wins this whole competition, is believing in yourself, and it starts here.
I love that, because it is about confidence. And I do believe that people that are here are so encouraging. And you're right, you get to not only show them, you get to show the whole world. Like, people need to see this and see these kids. I'm so glad you're here. I love what you're doing. Please help us out. Let everybody know about this.
I will, absolutely. So thanks for having me.
So another great day at Skills USA with Ty Pennington. We'll see what's next.